Welcome to Freaked Out with your co-hosts, Liz and Landon.
What's up, everybody?
Today we are covering the Anna Nicole Smith case. Now, today, this episode was actually supposed to be on the regular side of the podcast, but Liz made a little boo-boo last week and posted William Tyrell on the regular side. So I took that as a sign to keep it on the regular side and post this one on the exclusive side. So that is why we are here today.
Sometimes things happen for a reason, so why would we mess with fate?
Exactly. So with that being said, I have been waiting for so long to do this episode. I was so excited I got to do this one. When I was in my young 20s, I had been very drawn to her story. I knew a lot of things that happened before they happened, actually, including the paternity test for Danny Lynn and even her death, sadly. So when it comes to channeling her, I was drawn. And since she was one of those people in Hollywood, we could see her life spiraling out of control, and everyone got a bird's eye view on everything involved.
I agree. Her life was just so out there. She was in the spotlight for good things, but mostly bad things. So it will be interesting to see what she says.
Now, for those of you who have been living under a rock or just the younger generation to miss this, Anna Nicole Smith was born Vicki Lynn Hogan, November 28th, 1967. She was an American model, actress, television personality. Smith first gained popularity in Playboy magazines, and she won the title in 1993 Playmate of the Year.
In 1994, her highly publicized second marriage to 89-year-old billionaire J. Howard Marshall resulted in speculation that she married him for his money, which she denied. Following Marshall's death in 1995, Anna Nicole began a lengthy legal battle over the share of his estate. Her cases reached the Supreme Court of the United States, Marshall versus Marshall on the question of federal jurisdiction of Stern versus Marshall on the questioning of bankruptcy court authority.
Before Anna had gotten remarried, she was married to a Billy Smith, where she had one son named Danny. She raised him with her mother, and Danny had been her only child for 20 years. She was going through a lot of body image issues throughout the years, and she did gain a lot of weight and then lost it again. Anna was starting over again, and then she met Larry and had a very small relationship with him, and then she met her last partner, Howard K. Stern.
On June 1st, 2006, Smith announced her pregnancy in a video clip on her official website. Hope Marshall Stern was born September 7th, 2006. In New Providence, in the Bahamas. In an interview on CNN's Larry King Live after the death of Smith's son, her longtime personal attorney, Howard K. Stern, said that he and Smith had been in a relationship for a very long time and that due to the timing of the pregnancy, he was confident that he was the father of the baby. Entertainment photographer Larry Burkhead maintained that he was the baby's father and filed a lawsuit to establish paternity. The Bahamian birth certificate recorded the father as Stern.
Smith's 20-year-old son, Daniel Wayne Smith, died on September 10th, 2006, in his mother's hospital room while visiting her and the baby, only 3 days after she had Danny Lynn. And an autopsy found that he died from a combination of drugs, including methadone and antidepressants. A Bahama jury determined Danny died from an accidental drug overdose and recommended no criminal charges.
A death certificate was issued on September 21st, 2006, so that Daniel could be buried. While Smith remained in the Bahamas with Danny Lynn and Stern, her son's family was in the USA, including his father, Billy Smith. They all gathered with friends on October 7th, 2006 in Mexa for a memorial service. Daniel was buried at Lakeview Cemetery in New Providence on October 19th, 2006, almost 6 weeks after his death.
According to Stern, Smith was devastated over her son's death. Daniel and Anna were inseparable. Daniel was without question the most important person in Anna's life. Stern said during his testimony at the trial regarding the right to control disposition of Smith's remains. At Daniel's funeral, she had then opened the coffin and tried to climb inside. She said that if Daniel had to be buried, I want to be buried with him. She was ready to go down with him. Stern said that Anna saw herself as both mom and dad to Daniel, and from the time I met her, everything was for Daniel. I would say that physically she died last week, but in a lot of ways, emotionally, she died when Daniel died.
Smith and Stern were reportedly staying in the Bahamas to avoid paternity testing her daughter in the USA in the late 2006. Smith was granted permanent resident status in the Bahamas by Immigration Minister Shane Gibson. Local newspaper photographs were published showing Smith lying in bed clothed in an embrace with Gibson. Gibson resigned after the wave of controversy over his relationship with Smith.
Anna died in February of 2007 in a Hollywood, Florida hotel room as a result of an accidental overdose of prescription drugs. In the months leading up to her death, she was focused on renewed press coverage surrounding the death of her son Daniel and the paternity and custody battle over her newborn daughter Danny Lynn Burkhead.
Since Larry was determined to be the biological father, Howard didn't fight the custody battle. And now she lives with her biological father. She is currently 15 years old, and her net worth is about $2 to $3 million coming from her mother's inheritance.
We got a lot to cover today, including some questions we want to ask her, and also from our people on our Facebook page. By the way, guys, if you ever want to have access to the inside scoop of the podcast, I highly recommend the Facebook page. It's called Freaked Out Podcast. I'm grabbing questions from there, basically, for Anna Nicole Smith today.
Let's start off with a light question from yours truly, Catherine, aka Miss DIY. Does she get to hang out with her idol Marilyn Monroe in the sky?
I'm so glad that I was able to connect with Marilyn before I connected with Anna Nicole because she was bonded to her. They had a connection to each other just like the woman on TikTok, Jasmine Criswell. Marilyn likes to come through in people now and show herself. She shows me she's done it a few times, and Anna being one of those people. She was very drawn to her for a reason, so it's kind of cool to see it. Anna not only had met her, but they often visit each other. She said to mention that she and her spend a lot of time wearing lovely lacy outfits, walking around floating about, and with the cutest outfits, I might add, and accessories, and wearing lots and lots of boas and soft fuzzy shoes.
Angela C. asks, what does she consider her most precious gift from this earth?
She said that she loved clothes and purses and makeup, and she shows me that her favorite items were hard to choose, but she loved dresses that were tight fitted and shows her back. She loved her back, the way it looked, and she said she enjoyed glitter and glam. She also loved being fawned over. She loved being in the limelight, and she really enjoyed her fans. Her fame and all the wonderful things she got to experience it with it, but she didn't like the backlash side of things.
A lot of people want to know if she truly did use him for money when she married her late husband.
She said that he showed her the finer things in life. He told her that he knew he was really not going to be alive much longer, and that she basically was kind of setting up a contract with him, and she committed to him. He would give her everything, and she shows me she didn't love him at first. She was kind of creeped out by him, to be completely honest. But because of his age and because of his lifestyle, he was kind of like a pig. She shows me she wasn't too much in the limelight at this point, and she wanted to give her son the best financial life she could as well. She shows me she made that choice, and when she made the decision to be with him, she basically learned to love him. She said that he was very nice to her. He did everything to please her. That basically was his thing. And she said that her job was just to make him happy. But what made him happy was making her happy and feeling loved and falling in love with him. She shows me that her time with him was worth it, and she enjoyed him, and she learned a lot from him as he was very wise and full of life stories until his last dying breath.
Sonia P. asks, did she reunite with her late husband?
She said that they did connect again and that she enjoyed her time with him. It was in a different way, though. I believe he is also with his wife that may have passed on years ago. I'm not sure, to be completely honest, but from the sounds of it, looks like he's with her full time. She said she was able to meet his first love of his life, and I even feel like she was happy and at peace too. She shows me it was very different from being here. Earth, there's a lot more to prove, a lot more bad people, bad energy, just bad evilness everywhere. This place is their own personal design. She shows me that everything around her has like glitter and diamonds. My kind of place.
Sounds about right.
She also shows me that she even met up with fans of hers that had passed on as well. She said she wasn't very forthcoming when it came to her fans or fans in general. She said she was also afraid to show herself because she had major body issues for a while. She really hated on herself a lot and later ended up with a pretty significant eating disorder. I don't feel like it was all the time, but there was a point where she just gave up eating and did a lot of crash diets. She said that there was a lot of women out there that totally understand what she is going through, went through, and the pressure of being thin and then being made fun of for gaining weight. Seeing her being made fun of in magazines, she said it was so bad then. It's even worse now, and she said there's too many people that are very judgmental with her, and she felt a lot of pressure, not only to get skinny, but to get skinnier than she was before.
I know that this was the worst part of her life, and we all want to know, when it came to Danny's death, a part of her died along with him. I know she's with him since their bond was inseparable, but was his death an accidental overdose?
Anna shows me that she is with Danny. He is still the exact same. He is a super good kid. He's very chill. He didn't really do much bad in his life other than the drugs. But from what it looks like, he was really unhappy. Unlike his mother, he did not enjoy the lime life. And from what Anna shows me, she had no idea how badly it affected him, and she said that she felt bad for not knowing. She even felt that the moment he died. She shows me she never recovered from his death, and that she couldn't even get to a point of being happy about her daughter. She shows me that she loved her daughter, but she shows me that Danny always wanted a baby sister. She finally gave him this gift, and then he died. And from what she shows me, he took a long time to cross, even after his mother's passing. He had not intentionally killed himself, but he had taken advice from his mom on the pills and medication to help make him feel better. He had access to pills because she took them a lot, and from the sounds of it, the drugs got harder because he couldn't control it anymore. Now, from what she and he both show me, is that Danny Lynn, when he met her and when he got to be around her, he loved her instantly. And from that, she shows me he just wanted to clean up his life so he can be a role model for her. He was captivated by her eyes, and he didn't get to see them more than once or twice, but he loved her and made her many promises, including one that he made inside to let her know that he was not only going to protect her, but he would also stop with all the drugs and work on his mental health issues and this issue with his father.
He learned a valuable lesson just a little too late in his life, sadly. I know she also had her own issues with drugs and spent some time in rehab for it. How was her own experiences with drugs?
From what she shows me, she was on the right path when it came to drugs at the time, sorta, and she was trying to make better life choices in her life. And from what she shows me, she had a positive experience with it and learned a lot about it. But as soon as Danny died, all of that went out the window. She said she couldn't spend time focusing on her recovery. And at that point, she said that people need to just basically keep on going to rehab places. It works and helped her so much. Even with having Danny Lynn, she said that she wouldn't have been able to be successful with her or even giving her life if she hadn't been so good in her life at the time of recovery. I guess previously to her getting pregnant was probably the most significant point of her recovery. She said she didn't even have moments of being triggered when she found out she was pregnant. She wanted to have a do-over with being a parent again. Even though she said she was very good with her son, she just felt like she could have done a much better job. She didn't really realize that offering pills to her kid would be problematic because it kind of looks like it came from her family too. However, once the paternity stuff started to come out with Larry Burkhead, It was also a major trigger for her when it came to everything happening kind of at once.
She did have a lot going on in such a short period of time. Kate H. asks if she regrets keeping the paternity results a secret surrounding her daughter's biological father.
So she said that she doesn't regret it because she said she went into this protective mama bear mode. She said she just lost her own child. She didn't want to even have the thought of losing her daughter in any way. She was scared. She was so scared about so much that she was super worried about Danny Lynn, almost obsessively, more so PTSD, plus postpartum, kind of all rolled into one, and she keeps smiling about Howard. She really loved him. She shows me that he was sweet, and he just loved her so much. He felt so terrible for her with her loss of her son, and he just let her do anything she wanted, even if it was just sleeping and taking pills. He did try to stop her, but she would put her finger to his lips and tell him she was fine and everything was going to be okay, and that she was just sad and she would eventually be fine. So he would let her. She wanted to believe that Howard was the father because she didn't want Danny Lynn to face the broken home situation as well. She did, however, keep that deep down inside that she did in fact think that Larry was the father, but she was in denial and was hoping that she could wish away her problems, so she just kept going on with what she stated.
When it came to her own passing, it was stated that she had accidentally overdosed. Was this the case?
This one is the big one. And from what she shows me, she had a huge mess since the moment she found out her son had died. So basically, the day and night that her son had died, she started right where she left off, with the pills and everything and anything to make her feel better. She also shows me she was taking extra pills with no one basically looking. She had hidden stashes, and she also knew that in order for her to be with her son, she would have to leave this world. She shows me she tried for a few weeks to be there for her daughter and not allow it to affect her. She said that once that pressure with the custody battle took place in a bigger way, she felt like she was going to lose her too. She shows me she was present for her daughter, but she took the time off when she really needed it to sleep. She said that she was overdosing herself pretty much from the beginning and she wanted to die. She said that every single day, and everyone heard her because she was such a mess and so sad. They all thought it was kind of part of the grieving process. Her staff, her family, her friends, her husband, they all just wanted to make sure that she was okay. She said that the date of her death, she was feeling extra paranoid and worried and scared and felt like she was lost and didn't have the strength to carry on. She shows me she didn't want the world to know that she had done it purposely, and her family knew that she didn't want people to know that either. So everyone just kept this part inside. Not that they had any confirmation, but just based on her shutting down and dying alongside of Danny. She shows me she was wanting everyone to know the truth now because she had sat on it for a while, and she feels like she owes it to basically those in recovery. She said that it was very wrong of her to give up. Danny didn't want her to die, and he pretty much told her off as soon as he got there. And Danny Lynn doesn't get to know her, and she's very sad about that. She said killing herself wasn't worth it, although it felt right at the time.
Who prescribed the drugs to Anna?
From what she shows me, she had a few doctors on hand, and that if she asked for it, she would get it. She also shows me that when she would get the drugs, she would keep them in her home. She said she doesn't blame the doctors. I believe that there are 3 of them, one more general doctor, one being a therapist, and there may even be a surgeon as well that she would get them from. She shows me that she made them and pushed her status around. She doesn't blame any of them. She was playing the system, and she is taking full responsibility of that. She said that she was very difficult to say no to, and she really pushed it, and she didn't not get her way often. And if she didn't get her way, she would lose it and snap and treat people not so nice at times. She regrets her behavior and also knows that this was based on her own addiction and trauma that basically she started. She also feels extremely responsible for Danny's death because she kind of put him in the direction of drugs. The doctors basically could have said no, yes, but she said she would have found it elsewhere. Friends, family, plastic surgeons, on the streets, whatever she needed. She said she told her doctors that, and they felt it was a safer option than for her to go out there into the world.
How does she feel about her daughter and the biological father, and how she has grown up so fast?
Well, she is smiling from ear to ear about this question. She said that her daughter is the most beautiful woman in the world. She can't believe how stunning she is, inside and out. She had the heart of Danny, but she has the light of the world. She said Danny Lynn has something inside of her that she got from Larry, and she is happy about that. She doesn't have the dark side sitting within her. She is so happy that Larry has talked about her and told her stories, talked about Anna in such a wonderful light, and that part was shocking to her. She thought that he was going to say things to make her seem like a terrible person. She didn't realize how much better Danny Lynn was basically having Larry Burkhead in her life permanently. Larry did a good job of raising her, and she's so happy. She said if she knew he was going to be as good to her as he was, she wouldn't have fought so hard. She said that in her mind, everyone was out to get her, and she didn't trust a soul, even though she really didn't feel badly about Larry until he wanted his child in his life. She said that she respects Larry and Howard for how they all handled the situation, and she feels good about her. She and Danny both watch out for her every single day and very much protective of her.
Is there anything else that she would like to talk about or discuss?
She wants everyone who watched her life, her fans, to learn from her mistakes so they don't make the same ones. She said she overshared a lot in her life, and she was in the spotlight and for not the greatest things most of the time. She also wants her sister to know that she didn't appreciate her enough while she was alive. She said that she was so spoiled and that her sister was still so good to her. So she just wanted her to know that she appreciates her efforts to find out what happened to her, and she said that she is so sorry for leaving her. She was wishing she was still fighting with her and venting to her.
Wow, I'm glad we got a lot of information from her. When she was talking about the carbon copies being born again, does that happen to everyone?
It's something new to me, to be honest. She explained people who have that, noticeability factor, famous or talented. There are like carbon copies out there that carry on in the world with them. They carry some of the spiritual energy, like Jasmine from TikTok. Apparently there's also a Tupac carbon copy out there too. But he's very little from what I hear.
How did you hear about that?
Oh, well, Tupac and Biggie, they sort of chime in from time to time. Biggie is more so showing me like the music side of things on random times, like I need a sign or something. Like when I was driving back from dropping you off, I was scared and his song came on the radio. It was kind of cool.
Even in that restaurant, we weren't expecting that song to come on either.
Right? That was the coolest part about the reading. Once you channel with somebody, and if you vibe with them, they may pop in from time to time. It isn't all the time, of course, but for Tupac, he's convinced that there's a little him running around.
Tammy H. from our Facebook page asks you a question in relation to sleep paralysis. I keep thinking it's a bad spirit. It doesn't happen as often as it used to, but what is going on there?
I've heard of this happening a lot to people. I have personally never experienced it in my life before. However, I don't believe it to be evil. And so I don't feel like it's completely spiritual either. I believe that you may have been astral projecting and waking yourself up before you get to the point of coming back all the way. So like your spirit coming back to your body. And instead of coming back, you kind of go into this hyper panic mode.
What is astral projection for those people who don't know what it means?
It's when you are in a deep dream state, when your spirit sort of leaves your body, actually completely leaves your body. And you can actually float above your body and you can travel. Your spirit can also visit other people, other homes, see things exactly as they are. Now, I cannot do this on my own or take myself to that state in any way. I have only had it happen twice in my life, and the first time I don't even really remember much about it, but all I know is that I was in a high stressful situation that I was really scared of, and I didn't understand what was happening. I also didn't get stuck either. The second time it happened was when I traveled only to the next door, to my landlord's home. I was able to see the entire home and all of the mess around. They had stolen my car registration, and I was looking down at it and a pile of newspapers and mess. It was weird. I haven't done it ever since, and that was in 2020. And from people that I know who also spend a lot of time astral projecting, they say that it can happen sometimes. It's almost like when you're falling asleep and then we think we're kind of falling. It's our spirit shifting back into our body quickly. So the best thing I recommend is this: not fighting it or panicking. Let your body come back to normal. Try to remember what you were dreaming about and just take a look around the place. This is the best time to try to remember your dream. Some of us have a harder time remembering. So thank you for your question. I appreciate it. And if you guys have questions about things you don't understand, you are more than welcome to leave those details on the Facebook group. And remember, the name of the podcast Facebook group is called Freaked Out Podcast. We are always in there talking to our fans and listeners.
A lot of people ask us for updates on cases and predictions, and we actually have something coming up on the next episode on a case update. However, today we will be discussing a psychic prediction. I can't remember which episode we listed this on, but we covered the sister wives. What do you need to tell us, Liz?
I told you guys that some of the kids would be coming out as gay. One of them would be coming out as trans. Well, Cody and Mary, the first wife, and their only child came out as trans this week. Woohoo! Leon Brown.
That's so awesome. Welcome, Leon.
I also feel like they will now lead the way for their gay siblings. There will be more coming out here soon, and I feel like Leon just made it safer for his siblings to be their true authentic selves without any fear. I feel like there's going to be a lot going on for the trans community, a lot of trans celebrities stepping out over the next few years in Hollywood, so keep on being you. It's truly inspiring.
Next week, we will be covering the Glee cast, and you won't want to miss this episode either. We will also be giving an update on the Rory Hache episode. If you haven't yet heard it, please give it a listen because we will have a few updates. And until next time, guys, stay freaked out.